White House press spokesman Sean Spicer had some thoughts for us on the recent anti-Trump protesters. Let's watch.
Do you sense that instead of being an organic disruption, do you sense that there's an organized pushback and people are being paid to protest?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, protesting has become a profession now. They have every right to do that, don't get me wrong, but I think that we need to call it what it is. It's not these organic uprisings that we've seen through the last several decades. The Tea Party was a very organic movement. This has become a very paid AstroTurf type movement.
That's hilarious. So first of all, the term AstroTurf, used in reference to protests, is something that I first heard because many Tea Party protesters were paid. They were paid by the Koch brothers. So, now that doesn't mean the entire Tea Party movement is AstroTurf and nobody really believed what they were saying when they were out there. That's not true. Many of them were organic and legitimate and they had real concerns. But there were some people who were AstroTurf as part of that. And again, that's where I first heard that term used in context and in reference to protests, is reading about how some Tea Party protesters were paid for. And what would happen is they would literally hand them the signs as they were getting off the buses that they would bus in. And then when you had some news people like question them and ask them basic things, they'd be like, I don't know. Because they didn't know anything about politics. They were just bussed in there to protest. So that's the first thing, is this is projection 101. The second thing is, if they're paying these recent anti-Trump protests, somebody's going broke. Because you saw the numbers, I saw the numbers. You saw the crowds, I saw the crowds. Specifically in reference to the immigration / de facto Muslim ban. It was all these different airports and so many people, and it was overwhelming. I was surprised at how quick it happened, how organic it was, and again, there's no evidence in this instance of, oh yeah, they're all paid. The Women's March, which happened after his inauguration, was the biggest protest ever. Ever. Yeah, they're all paid. Really? Who the fuck can fund that? Even if you give them all $10, somebody's going broke. All right, so, and then the third point this is my favorite one, because it was deep in there in the memory bank, and then it popped up when I heard Sean Spicer say this. At Donald Trump's campaign launch, I don't know if you guys remember this, he paid people to be there. It was widely reported. There were signs that they handed them when they walked in, and it also a hilarious part of this story is when Trump walked up there to give his speech about how he's running for president. He said, "Oh, this is great. This is tremendous. Thousands of people in here. Tremendous, believe me." And there were reporters who were there, and they looked around. They're like, thousands of people? First of all, they're indoors. So where the fuck are you going to fit thousands of people? You're not in the Javits Center. And the guy looked around. He said there were dozens. It wasn't even hundreds. He's like, thousands of people. Tremendous, believe me. Tremendous. It's like, dude, there's dozens. How do you say that? And like, we can just look around and see. And again, they paid him. It's a matter of record. This was widely reported. So again, a lot of this is projection. And, you know, what we have now is we have conspiracy thinking people in the White House. I mean, look, Donald Trump snuggled up to Alex Jones on the campaign trail. Alex Jones claims Trump is still in contact with him. You know, I don't know. They certainly don't believe everything Alex Jones believes, because Alex Jones thinks virtually everything is a conspiracy. Except with Trump. Trump is all legit, all straightforward. There's no, you know, now Alex Jones is the establishment because he's the fiercest defender of the president. So, mind blown. So how does that work, Alex? If there's a mass shooting now, is it not a conspiracy when every other mass shooting was a conspiracy? He's probably confused. He's like, I now am the establishment, but I always say I am not. Does not compute. Shutting down Jones 3000. But there are some aspects of just conspiracy thinking in the administration. In fact, let me link that to this next story here, and we'll make it two for one. Oh, here it is. It was all the way at the end there. I don't know why. But President Trump tweeted yesterday, quote, "Any negative polls are fake news. Just like the CNN, NBC polls in the election. Sorry, people want border security and extreme vetting." I always find extreme vetting to be a hilarious term because it just reminds me of like the X Games. Extreme snowboarding. Or like Harold and Kumar, where they're like, extreme, the guys in the monster truck or whatever. And we already kind of had extreme vetting. I mean, we walked through the process with you guys before. We have the most rigorous vetting system in the world. It takes over a year on average for somebody to come to the U.S. They do biometric screening. They look through all these old records. There's multiple different government agencies involved. So it was already there, but they don't care. They just use that as a shield to say, I don't know, make it harder or just don't let any in. But any negative polls are fake news. Think about that. What a crazy thing to say. Any negative polls are fake news. Any of them. Don, that's just wrong. Like, that's like me saying any video that gets downvoted is fake. It's fake. Those aren't real downvotes. Everybody loves it. Everybody likes everything I say. If you downvote the video, it doesn't mean anything. It's not real. It's not real. It's all fake. So anything that's ever against you is fake. So you are right by definition. You are popular by definition. That's just nonsense, Don, and you know that's nonsense. But furthermore, even the point of the election polls were wrong. No. So it's true that, there was like the HuffPost poll predictor that said Hillary has a 99% chance of winning. Yeah, that was wrong. But in terms of just the polls themselves, the polls had Hillary Clinton up on average about 3 percentage points. Hillary Clinton ended up winning the popular vote by about 3 million votes. I don't know if that's a full 3 percentage points, but you're in the ballpark. It's definitely within the margin of error. So the polls were fine. It's just the way the support was distributed throughout the country was you held the states you had to hold to get the Electoral College victory. But this idea that it's like unsalvageable and the empirical data was so off and wrong and rigged, that's not true. And furthermore, you went around saying it's rigged and, I can't win because it's rigged, and then you won. So what do you're wrong. You're wrong. So that's conspiracy. Like, that's flat out a conspiracy. To say something like any negative polls are fake news, that's just a conspiracy. There's no other way to put it. That anything anybody ever says against you, anything where people say, I don't agree with that, is just wrong. And it takes a child to believe that kind of thing. And I almost hope he's lying and he doesn't believe it, because if he does believe it, that's an extra level of stupid I previously thought unattainable for somebody who would become president of the United States.